You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Feeling good about your fantasy draft picks, but not sure what to eat? Make it easy on yourself. Order in on DoorDash. Now you can root for your squad while your food and drinks are on the way. Yes, that means burgers, chips, dips, soda, pizza, wings, and so much more, delivered straight to your door.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
I wanted to ask Pablo, but we ran out of time, and Mike Schur is coming on later to give us a stat, and I'm sure we'll talk about Ohtani. The Dodgers are going to sell in 10 years, right? Like, you should sell the team before you have to pay someone $680 million.
That's what David Sampson did with the Marlins. They did that with Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, they traded Stanton.
I know, but the way that they sold the team with the understanding
they technically didn't trade him, but yeah.
They'd never have to get to pay the brunt of that contract. They'd be able to trade it. It was the move. They increased the value of their franchise out of nowhere. People were wondering, why would the Marlins, a notoriously cheap franchise, give Giancarlo Stanton that much money? And it's because you increase the value of your franchise so that you can sell it down the road and you don't actually have to pay the money. They can afford this stuff with their regional television contract. They've got the biggest one in the sport. It's the biggest advantage in the sport to be able to have more money than everyone else and just pay other players because your made-for-TV product makes more money than everyone else.
Is this player worth it? Seriously, is he worth $700 million? I'm not certain any player is worth $700 million, but Dan, I'm going to say it, he's overrated. Shohei Ohtani is overrated. He has had one 100 RBI season. One. He has never taken his team to the playoffs. The next playoff game he plays will be his first playoff game of his career. He can't pitch next year. $700 million seems like a lot of money for a guy who's 29 years old and had one 100 RBI season and couldn't make it to the playoffs with Mike Trout. He's overrated.
You could have ended that sentence many words earlier by just simply saying $700 million is a lot of money, period.
I was rolling.
That no one is worth, probably, in sports or outside of sports, because it's such an enormous amount of money. But if any player in baseball were worth that amount of money, this would be the one.
I'm not so certain.
Okay, you cannot be so certain. You're using terrible stats. Like, it's not just that you're not using the advanced stats.
You want the OPS? You want some of that? Because he's been over 900, I think, twice in his career, 1,000 once. That was last year. That was his best year of his career at the age of 29. Every other year, it's been like 800, 850, 848. I mean, he's overrated, though.
It's a hard act to follow. But
Billy, let me try it this way, okay? Before the contract, he wasn't overrated. But now that you attach $700 million to Shohei Ohtani, overrated.
Correct.
Thank you.
I love how you're holding the 95 RBIs the last two seasons against him.
Get 100.
It's an interesting game where you figure out how do you manage to hit 45 home runs and only have 95 RBIs. It's because of the Angels.
That's
but
correct.
It seems impossible.
It does seem hard, but also though I believe that I'm inching towards Stugotz's side, where if Ohtani had just gotten me to the helpful round number of 100 there instead of 95.
Right.
I'd be willing to cast aside all my other more informed baseball knowledge and just say, yeah, I'm more comfortable with the nice fat round number of give me an extra zero in there so I can make him not overrated.
But by deferring all the money, it's perfect because now he's not overrated until 10 years from now because he's only making $2 million next year. So actually, he's the best value player in baseball.
You do have to wonder, though, like, this is going to be a second Tommy John surgery. Like, how good is he going to be when he comes back as a pitcher?
Right. He'll never pitch again.
Yeah.
I don't believe he will. They'll concentrate on his bat.
You think they paid him $70 million to get 95 RBIs a year?
Well, maybe he'll get an extra 5 and everybody will be happy.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Jeremy, please put on the poll, Juju, at Le Batard Show, is Ohtani overrated? And just put a bunch of zeros as the O in overrated on the front end of that. Jeremy, I'd like to do a top 5 list with you. Just find as fast as you can on the internet over here, and I'll come to you in a couple of seconds. The silliest payments in baseball. Just find for me a bunch of them and put together a top 5 and let me know. You're a high achiever. It's kind of annoying. You are a theater kid, a performer. You are somebody who moves very fast. So just scour the entirety of the internet and give me a top 5 list on all silly payments. But Stugotz, I don't know if he's going to pitch. It's actually a reasonable concern because one of the reasons that he's Babe Ruth in the modern form, the only reason he's Babe Ruth in the modern form, is because he does both things. And he does both things in a way that have value and is stupefying. I would never call such an athletic feat under any circumstance overrated. To be great at those two things in that sport, he is properly rated. You cannot rate that highly enough. There is no player like him anywhere in the sport. And you have to go back 100 years when Babe Ruth was playing against people who had second jobs as plumbers to find anything like this.
I understand that. He was 10-3 last year, had a 3.14 ERA, basically a 3 ERA for his career, Dan. But if he can't pitch, that's problematic. Like that is. Like you're signing him to that deal because you're hoping he could both, he could both hit and he could pitch. And if he can't do one of those two things, I question whether or not he's worth $700 million. I'm telling you, the contract has everything to do with it. Like when you attach that amount of money to someone, suddenly they look overrated in your eyes.
But you are someone who knows sports enough to know that this is not your money.
Right.
And so the Dodgers don't actually have to spend their money wisely. They just have to get stars and keep the buzz around, and it doesn't matter how they get the stars. They need to get their programming. Stugotz, don't think of this as, well, is he going to be someone who helps them win a title? That's the reason they're trying to get him.
Sure.
But the functioning of the business that allows for the contract, hey, get me an LA star. LA loves stars. We need stars. The Dodgers have failed. The Braves are better. The Braves are younger. We took Freddie Freeman, and we're still not good enough because the Braves are going to be here for a while. How do we fix this? Get another television star.
Right.
That he's a baseball star is also nice, but get me in Hollywood someone who feels big, who's going to put more people in my ballpark. These aren't even, you can say they're baseball moves, but if we're talking about it, we're not talking about the baseball parts of this. We're talking about this because of the money parts of this and as a business move. This is the Dodgers going Hollywood. We're going to, all of it is. It's also the tracking of him on airplanes where it's like, wait a minute, baseball never feels like this. This is an investment you spend in order for your television program to be a nightly thing that has a star in the middle of it.
It feels a bit unfair, though, right? Like the Dodgers, the rich get richer. I understand what you're saying. It's good for the team. It's good for TV contracts. It's good for the fans in L.A. I understand that. It's great for Ohtani, right? He's got $770 million. But it just seems, I don't know. It seems like people are upset because the rich are getting rich. It feels like the Yankees, Dan. Back in the day when they were spending hundreds of millions of dollars every year, it's like, man, how many stars do you need? Let's spread the wealth a little bit. But there's an expectation with the Dodgers when a big free agent comes up, they have to be in the game and probably get that guy. And they got him.
Well, that's why the contract is somewhat annoying if you're a baseball fan, because it's the rich getting richer at $2 million a year. So now the money that they were going to commit, they now can commit to yet another star that they can get, where in any other case, it's like, well, you only have enough money for so many stars. But if you're paying him $2 million, now you can go get someone else on top of him.
I'm surprised the Players Union allowed this kind of a deferral of that much, of such a high percentage of that contract, because that could become a trend that essentially allows you to ridiculously back-end the contract. That's what the Marlins did to a much lesser degree with Giancarlo Stanton when it was back-ended, and the Marlins knew that he was going to be traded long before the end of that contract. But this is taking it to an extreme degree. You know, you can do it, obviously, but I think the Players Union is going to stop deferrals like this moving forward.
I feel bad for Bobby Bonilla. Because 10 years from now, we're going to start celebrating Ohtani Day, and it's just going to, like, 68 million.
Lord willing. I mean, he's got a lot more faith in it than I do. I would love to celebrate Ohtani Day. I'll take that right now.
Just getting there?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Earth getting there?
Dude, I'm trying to get past next November.
I legitimately have never had the thought, ever, in the history of contracts given, it has never occurred to me, the idea of having to consider, well, is the economy, not just baseball's economy, is money going to be the same thing 10 years from now if we're all fighting, if all the countries are fighting over money and we're destroying the earth because oil makes money and all of that money is coming to sports?
I think Mike is wondering whether or not we're going to be here, period, as a planet.
Understood.
Yeah.
And before that, though, the economy will collapse. But that's in the way these steps work, Stugotz. It's economy falls first, then Earth, not Earth. Earth collapses, and then there's one person at a bank saying, "Where'd the economy go?"
What's Earth without money?
Surviving. I know your entire Earth is money.
I don't think you really need to worry about the Earth collapsing, because if it does, like, you're dead, right? So, like, if you're living in constant fear of the Earth not existing, you're kind of wasting your time, because you yourself are not ever going to stop the Earth. I mean, no offense, I believe in all of you as being these great people, but there's nothing any of you are going to do to stop the Earth from not existing if that's what's going to happen.
Just going to buck up against that and say every vote counts.
I just want to put it out there, Dan, that if it's better for Meadowlark, I'm willing to take an Ohtani type deal, where you want to, like, promise me a lot of money on the back end, like 7 or 8 years from now.
Oh, really?
I'll take a discount, but you got to come correct though. With
all right. Well, we might do that though. We might do that.
Back end the deal.
We got about.
Did I just screw myself?
We got about 18 months left on our DraftKings deal.
Dogecoin.
For the team, I'll do it.
Okay. But did you hear what I said? We have about 18 months left on our DraftKings deal.
That's an important detail, Chris.
I'll gamble on us.
10 years from now.
But I'm going to need a big promise on that back end.
How much is that Odell Beckham contract that was like half crypto worth now?
Unfortunately, I think that Jeremy is ready to give us his list, but it has been too slow. He thinks he's a high achiever, okay? He gives off high achiever. I expected that faster, Jeremy. You've got 5 payments, but now we're going to have to wait for it because your timing is a little slow, and Winnie the Pooh's all jacked up on honey, and your game's not quite where it needs to be yet, and so we will wait a second. You have fouled up the timing for a couple of different reasons in the first hour of the show. I also haven't been able to talk enough Dolphins because of you. Cody, did you have any thoughts on Ohtani?
Yeah, I wonder what's next.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Hey, it's Mike, and I want to motivate you to make Miller Lite a part of your football watching experience. Here's the pitch. It's got only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. With a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish, you get the taste that you crave without the calories. And football fans, I can assure you, from personal experience, there is no other light beer, not on this wonderful planet of ours, that goes with football quite like Miller Lite. Make football time Miller time. No matter what team you're rooting for, there is one thing we can all agree on. Miller Lite and football bring us all together. So, I want you to take my advice and make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Dan Le Batard.
Few things feel better than when you're on a roller coaster with no underwear.
Noted.
Try it.
A very weird observation by Stugotz.
You should try it. Don't knock it until you try it, Dano.
Stugotz.
You know what, Stugotz? I reconsider my position. I have not tried it, and so I won't knock it. Please explain to us in as much elaboration as you can why it's so wonderful to ride on a roller coaster with no underwear.
Well, you just get that incredible breeze that you can only get when you're high up on a roller coaster and it's about to go down. And when it goes down, oh, does it feel good? It's like air conditioning inside your shorts. It's amazing. Right? It really is.
This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
despite being a disappointment in the last segment, I do have a top 5 silliest payments in baseball headed into 2024. Dan, do you want it now?
Your punishment for slowness is you're going to get off the second top 5 list. It's been demoted in this segment because Stugotz, who is ahead of you in hierarchy, the pecking order, has been consistently getting annoyed by how much you're yammering because it cuts into his time.
I didn't say that.
How would I know it otherwise? Top 5. Stugotz has...
I mean, the kid won't shut up.
Stugotz has top 5, and America's been waiting for this because when Stugotz gets fired up and starts throwing things in the furnace, he comes up with the best of the sports stuff that people want to hear, and he's got... This is amazing. It's just a jewel. I'm surprised he didn't hoard it on God Bless Football. I'm so happy he shares it with us here. Top 5 teams you don't want to see in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, it's that time, Dano. I mean, it is. It's time to start thinking about it. These are the teams that the elite teams don't want to see in the playoffs.
Thank you. I thought I explained that, but I appreciate the elaboration.
Just hammering home the
point. Before you do that, I just want to know, because after we went off of Max, Stugotz, with a giant smile on his face, said to Greg Cote, Greg, I don't understand how you don't understand that whenever he asks you, Dan asks you a direct question, it's because we're right up against the clock. But I further don't understand that when he tells you in that question, because Jeremy's fouled up the timing of everything, hey, Jeremy, we can't do your segment because there's no time. Greg, tell us all your thoughts on Ohtani. It seems a bit of a poker tell there that you should have been able to see that I was walking you into a timed out break.
I know. I feel it. I start to talk, and then I immediately sag inwardly because I know that damn horn sound is upon me. It's going to be any second now. What a feeling.
I felt the need to deliver it as James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams because, he said the one constant throughout time is baseball, and I said the one constant throughout this show is when Dan is asking you a direct question, it means you're up against it.
I know.
Yeah.
It could not have been telegraphed anymore. I was ashamed of myself as I did it. I felt like I was abusing an old person.
Yeah, you were. Ageism. Yeah, it really is.
Because I did it so poorly, it felt to me like tripping someone who doesn't have eyesight.
Right.
Like it felt cruel. I did it poorly, not gently.
Have you done that?
Speaking from experience. It's a strange reference point.
It really was. I thought that too.
I only do it on Christmas Day. It's part of...
but everyone does it on Christmas Day.
It's part of how I celebrate the holidays.
It doesn't even count on Christmas Day.
I said to Greg Cote, Greg, give me all your thoughts on this. We're out of time. Jeremy, you're not allowed to speak because you're a yammerer and we don't have enough time. Greg Cote leaned into it, gave us 3 syllables, and didn't ever see it coming. It is like tripping a person who never sees it coming. Top 5 teams you do not want to see in the playoffs.
Number 5, Dan, the New York Football Giants.
Really?
They are in the mix. Tommy Devito, you have agents kissing parents. You have parents kissing parents. You have everyone kissing each other. A little magic. You have a solid defense. And, of course, you have Wake Martindale. No one wants to see them.
I feel like they're on the exact opposite list.
They're in the mix. They're right
Teams
there.
that you want to see in the playoffs.
That's the team you do not want. That defense is good, and there is some magic with Tommy Devito.
Chris, can you put together, please, and I'm going to put this ahead of the line on Jeremy as well, teams you do want to see in the playoffs and see how many of them are the same as Stugotz's list here. Can I get a picture, please, on the screen as fast as humanly possible of Tommy DeVito's agent, who I believe is in a costume. I do not believe that is either a real agent or a real human being.
Tommy said he's the Italian stallion of agents. I love that. Don't want to face him, Dan.
Tommy DeVito, I have a theory on everything that's happening there that we will get to at some point in the show because it's fascinating to see someone who lives at home take the lane of nobody knows how to evaluate quarterbacks. You know what I'm going to do to get to the commercials in New York? I'm just going to make it as fun and strange as possible. I'm going to play with this, and I'm going to have an entirely different experience in New York than Zach Wilson is having because I don't have expectations. And look at my agent. I'm going to keep reducing my expectations by telling you I live at home, I live with my family, and I'm going to go full Italian, and I'm going to see if I can get the commercials that way.
Sports are great, though, in this way, right? Because this is a kid from New Jersey, from Livingston, went to Syracuse. I know a million Tommy DeVitos. I grew up with all of them. I mean, I'm serious. And he's living out his dream, playing quarterback and doing it well for the Giants. I mean, I love sports.
Leaning into all of the Italian stuff as his agent kisses his dad on the cheek and he comes out with the chain and the agent's wearing the fedora. As he lives at home, he's looking for the DiGiorno's sponsorship, right? Like the make-at-home pizza. It's perfect for him.
Yeah,
he literally is leaning into all of it. Even if he ends up not being good, he's going to end up with all these sponsorships.
He also needs to stay at home. That's part of the story, right? Like if he leaves and gets an apartment in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, everything's going to fall apart. I'm telling you.
I know that outfit is a costume because I was a mobster for Halloween in 3rd grade, and I had that exact same outfit on. We are finding a picture from my dad's Facebook. The exact same outfit.
That's great.
That's a costume. I know it.
You guys would say, is the name of the show Peaky Blinders? Peaky Blinders?
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
I loved
both
all
words,
this knowing
$4.
the name of the show, but waiting to see where Dan was going to go with it. You're almost there.
Is it a correct appraisal?
Peaky Blinders?
The way that he looks.
Yeah.
Something out of that.
Well, he's got the Cillian Murphy lips. I mean, well, close. No one has Cillian Murphy's lips. Am I right, Luce?
Number 4, Stugotz.
The Denver Broncos, Dan. Sean Payton, a coach who has been there and done it. Russell Wilson, a quarterback who has been there and done it. Plenty of playoff experience and a lot of jewelry. Don't want to face him.
Stugotz, can you just stop for a second? I'd like to now mix the lists. Chris Cote, your number 5, top 5 teams you do want to see in the playoffs. Number 5.
The Broncos.
Wait a minute.
Wow. Crazy.
That's insane.
The Dolphins will lose to
Number
them.
from teams that have a chance to get.
Obviously,
it's not the Carolina Panthers. It's teams that you have a chance to get to the playoffs. Number 4, Chris Cote.
The Giants.
Wait a minute.
But Wink Martindale.
Number 3, Stugotz.
The Rams, Dan. Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Donald, championship DNA at two of the funniest names in the history of sports, Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell. I mean, you do not want to see those two in the NFL playoffs. The Rams are good. Be careful.
If you're interested, I have a top 5 list of teams you're ambivalent about playing in the
I love that. Yeah.
That's a good list.
Yeah.
Number 2, Stugotz.
Not 2 to or 3 to Chris?
No, I'm not going to Chris
or 5
yet.
to Greg?
I'm mixing it up. Okay, number 5, Greg Cote.
The Steelers.
Number 3, Chris Cote.
The Steelers.
Number 4, Greg Cote.
The Chargers. Minus Herbert.
They're not in it, though.
They're 5-8. They're in it. They're on the periphery of being in it.
Everyone's
They're not
in
out
it.
of it.
They'd be in it in the NFC.
They're in it. In it to win it. Thank you. I made that phrase up. In it to win it. It just came to me. It's unbelievable.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, it does.
I think it might catch on.
You think? Could be a T-shirt sale at the Greg Cote Show. Christopher, get on that. In it to win it. With quotes, maybe. In it to win it, like a phrase.
Right.
Okay. Where were we?
That's an excellent question. Stugotz, are you at number 3 or number 2?
I'm at number 2, Dan.
Number 2, Stugotz.
The Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen doesn't care who you are or where he plays you. They're dangerous.
Put it on the poll. Does Josh Allen care who you are or where he plays you?
He's going to throw it to you.
And that you can be anybody. It can be anybody.
Yeah, he's going to have to overcome whatever he does initially.
What's amazing to me about the amount of time we spent on Kadarius Toney yesterday is that
The guy who gets to skate on what Sunday was, Stugotz, Josh Allen had like 4 or 5 plays where he's clearly a centaur. No one can tackle him, but he's about to go down to his knees. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do what a 4-year-old would do in this situation. I'm just going to throw it up in the air and flutter it out and hope someone is around it that is in my colors. Ridiculously reckless. All 4 of them could have ended up in a linebacker's lap for a pick 6 because he didn't know where he was putting it. Number 2, Chris Cote.
Teams you want to see in the playoffs. Number 2, Colts.
Yeah, I agree.
Where are we on Greg Cote's ambivalent list?
Number 3.
Number 3, Greg Cote.
The Vikings.
Clear your throat. Not into the microphone.
You said clear my throat. I'm right here. Where am I going?
Following orders, yep.
Thank you.
Number 1, Stugotz.
The Cleveland Browns. Defense wins championships. They have a great one, and they have a quarterback who never sweats. Watch out.
It is true. He doesn't sweat.
Ever.
His stoicism, put it on the poll. Does Joe lead the league in stoicism? Number 1, Chris Cote.
Teams you want to see in the playoffs. Number 1, the entire NFC South.
You can pick any of them. That's it. That's excellent. In fact, we can make this all 3 of these lists.
That's honestly your best work, Chris. That was spectacular.
And it's only Stugotz's list because it's literal in that case. None of us want to see those teams actually in the playoffs. Greg Cote, are we on number 2 or number 1 with your ambivalence?
We're on number 2, the Browns.
Baker could be a problem. I'm just saying.
But that's Tampa. He just said the Browns.
I thought he said NFC South, didn't he?
Yeah. Okay, but
then we went to my dad.
I know. I was going back. I know. There's a lot going on here, Dan. But I was going back to Chris.
In his defense, it is hard to follow.
Baker used to be a Brown, so that's why it was confusing for us.
A lot going on. Jeremy won't stop talking. Continue, Dan.
That is correct. He won't stop talking as either Jeremy or as Winnie the Pooh. But we need to get to our climactic and most important because we're all done, right? Everyone is all done here?
I have a number 1 to go.
Okay. So finally,
that's where he was headed.
The number 1 most ambivalent team from the playoffs.
The Colts.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Dan Le Batard.
I heard the hotel industry is moving away from providing shampoo and soap.
Oh, don't get me started on them.
Yeah?
Do not get me started on hotels and the stuff that they do.
Right, what they take from me, I feel like I'm entitled to take something from them. Thank you, Billy.
They're going to throw away the shampoo. They're going to throw away the soap. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the sheets, and I'm talking about the towels.
Stugotz.
Oh, we really care about the environment, so please hang up your towels. Get out of here. You just don't want to wash these towels because it's going to cost you money to wash these towels. All right? This whole thing about you're saving the whales or you're saving the turtles or whatever because I put my towel on a hanger, it is so full of it. All right? You just don't want to give me fresh towels every day. Just call it what it is. Tell me you don't want to give me fresh towels. I'm still going to throw it on the floor. All right? I feel like water is a renewable resource. And you're not really saving the ocean by using water to clean my towel, are you? Am I missing something? What am I missing?
Nail right on the head.
Am I missing something?
The end of the story. This is the Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz.
I remember years ago, Stugotz, the video coming out of a fight of a basketball game overseas. And the fight had thrown chairs and was totally insane. And I thought to myself, if that had happened in our country, in the NBA, it would have echoed like the malice at the palace.
Of course.
It would have been a seismic national sports event that a fight and the video of a fight that concerned people had been in this country. It would have been received vastly differently because we cared about the sport and we cared about the thing that happens in this country. And I was reminded of it when I saw a video, Turkish Soccer, a video of an owner in Turkish Soccer being so displeased with the referees. Everyone's displeased with the referees. This is what the pandemic caused.
The greatest virus that echoes, that doesn't kill a bunch of people, but kills my soul every day in the content business, is the pandemic birthed a general unhappiness with the refereeing.
Even Andy Reid is doing it. He's the nicest man in the world.
Even Mahomes is
Right.
doing it. Look, all sorts of pandemic collateral of things in odd places that hurt because our mental health has been challenged as a human race by nothing more than a pandemic that has birthed complaining about referees in a way I've never seen before.
How are you guys so chill as this video is playing right now? There is a team owner from a Turkish club in Ankara punching the lights out of an official. Flush. Like, you guys have seen this before?
No. This
Chin's
is,
made of glass.
This is the part I seen. The part
you should see some of the remnants of this fight. Dude did damage.
He did damage, and if you can show that
Look at
again.
that flush. Look how he caught him.
Yes.
Flush.
If you can show me from the other angle, though, if you can show me that video just one more time, again, of a Turkish owner, just straight knuckles right to the face. I don't know what Jeff Passan did to him to deserve that, but Jeff Passan goes down like a sack of potatoes, and it is a punch that if it had happened in this country, can you imagine? I don't know who owns the Kansas City Chiefs. Is it still the Hunt family?
Yeah.
Can you
It'll
imagine?
always be the Hunt family.
Look at that. Gave him a black eye immediately.
It hurt really bad.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Will the Hunt family always own the Chiefs? Will it always be the Hunt family?
Look at the aftermath of that punch right there.
Oh, brother.
I don't know why that photo is so funny.
The hospital in a neck brace?
Why does he have a neck brace for getting punched in the
guy's
cheek?
trying to get paid.
Oh, you don't
Call
know.
the lawsuits. I mean,
The guy dove, all right? The ref took a dive. That's what I saw.
Is he giving a statement? Neck braces are funny. I'm just going to come out and say it.
I love Greg's posture right now.
What?
You're so good at this that you're super relaxed and
I am
confident.
relaxed.
And
I'm in my living room.
Guy took a dive.
He
Swig
did.
my coffee.
I think he did take a dive. He dramatically fell. No matter how square the punch landed, the guy took a dive. He exaggerated.
Never has
Sorry.
anyone been so relaxed and yet so bad at something.
I know what's happening here. I think I need to draw up another play for Greg Cote to get him back involved.
yeah, we do.
I've never been uninvolved.
All right, let's do this. This is what just happened. So he is uninvolved. He gets hurt and narcissistic when we're not selling his book or playing his songs. He already checked
Pride of a
out.
Lion? This book?
He already checked out when we played his song at the beginning. He's had enough for today. Once he gets his thing, he just wanders away because it's the only reason he's actually
He took
here.
a dive, and you know it.
That would have been better than what you did.
yeah.
I just did it. It's the exclamation point.
The
It's
thing.
that kind of thing, exactly.
That was in your headphone.
Jesus.
All right.
Oh, my God.
I love you.
Greg's right.
I slept in too late.
I took the dog outside.
Now I will be raised.
Your laziness I will chide.
A little heads up.
Just look it up for yourself.
Would have been nice.
Why is technology your vice?
It's cold enough for snow flurries.
Greg, you could Google it in a hurry.
I can feel the chill rush through the door.
The high today is 74.
Why couldn't you say?
There's no need to tell you
that it is cold outside.
That is the debut of a singing Erlene Cody. I wish it had never happened.
Barely singing. Yeah, I was going to say.
That was sing-talking like Kesha.
2 hours of recording with Yeti.
Wow. Let me explain something to you about the Cody family dynamic, and you can catch all of it at the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote podcast.
But thank you.
Fine.
The experience of Greg Cote on Tuesdays, if you had not noticed, is deteriorating.
Are we all?
The day is or he
He talks about me like I'm not even here.
Well, I talk about you in the meetings when you're not there.
Oh, I'll bet you do.
The same way. And
You're trying to work an end game. You're trying to figure out how to get rid of me without hurting my feelings.
No,
Can you do it?
The end game is I'm worried you're going to end us all before we get to whatever it is pays your son in 10 years because he's deferred all his payments and we still own a company that works that you have not destroyed. But the thing that I want to explain to the audience about what the Greg Cote experience is, and you've heard it just a couple of times today, it happens a lot. There are very often, most of the time, maybe 100%, that our producers are trying to whisper to something to Greg Cote, and he doesn't know what's on air and what's not on air. And so he responds always as if it was on air and other people could hear it, but it was only him who could hear it. So now all you're getting is the response, which doesn't make any sense where it is that it's placed. But here's what's funny about what happened. I don't even remember what it was about. While you were talking at one point, your son, who produces your podcast, whispered in my ear, and I can make a distinction between what's on the air and what's not on the air. He whispered in my ear in disgust, spat at you. He gave you nothing there. And for that moment, I did not know it was actually your son or what I was thinking in my own head that just happened to come in your son's voice because I'm going crazy.
Right.
And you're making it worse. That
your thoughts in Chris's voice?
I was not sure. I was not sure. Yes, weird. Yes, agreed. Agreed.
I am your thoughts.
There's a simple solution to all this. There really is.
Ooh, I'm hungry.
If people are addressing me, meaning to, normally, they speak in their own voice. When they're addressing me through the speaker and only I am supposed to hear them, just pinch your nose. Speak like this so that it's a different kind of voice. And I have no idea. Mm-hmm. I have a crystal clear idea. All right, this time he's just speaking to me directly because he's going like this. He's speaking like this. And if you don't do that, if you speak to me in your regular voice, then I know that it's on the air.
Yep.
Is that too much to ask?
This guy's an idiot.
But someone just pinched their nose and said that kind of thing, and you responded, yeah. So it still didn't work.
Oh, really?
Well, this is the part that we have told him over the last 2 months when he files a complaint like this. You know what our answer is in here, right? Our answer in here is always, Greg, I wore a...
I'm literally
that
doing
wasn't
what he,
on the air.
I'm literally doing what he asked.
That's Mike Ryan. You're laughing.
You pinched your nose?
I did.
It was funny, though. What it said was funny. When I hear something funny, I laugh.
But Greg, it's a joke that's provided for you.
Okay,
it's trying to fix this.
It's a work in progress as we do the show. But the response, what Greg Cote keeps trying to get us to alter things that help him in the very easy doing of talking into a microphone. And what our explanation is again and again to Greg Cote when he says you have to put more tools in place that will help me is, Greg, for years on ESPN radio and video, Dan was wearing a physical clock on a baseball cap in order to help you with the clock. We set up a great joke on you in the last segment. All it required was for you to say the Indianapolis Colts so that you could get clipped in the multisyllabic word Indianapolis. But because you said the Colts and only that, you ruined the joke.
I mean, we should have recognized the cadence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Got to know the teammate.
Exactly. Who says the Indianapolis Colts?
Nobody says that.
Nobody says that. They're the only Colts in sports. Is there even a college team nicknamed Colts? I can't think of one.
Lucy, at some point during the show today, I wish to get to your video from Army-Navy, but in terms of giving us a preview, I was very worried about this one. I was surprised that the SEC championship game had a shitty parking lot tailgating situation. I was legitimately stunned by that. I thought for sure Georgia, Alabama was just going to be, the whole thing was going to be like Pat McAfee at on game day, where it's just everyone barking and shouting and drunk behind McAfee as he's leading these rolling cheers of insanity in the biggest game of the year.
I think when you put those games at a neutral field, a professional field with a corporate environment, it takes away from the tailgating experience, I think.
No, you're absolutely right. You've never said anything more correct.
Well, thank you.
There is nothing that can ruin the fun of
having a soul more than corporations. They are
About
there.
7 of them sitting out there.
Yeah, there are so many of them out there. Yes, I feel them in the other room, trying to. So soon,
can his inner dialogue tell him to cool it? Please, Chris.
There is a certain soulfulness required of fun, art, sports, enjoyment that corporations can have in general trouble with. But when she told me that
was born a rambling man, talking to guests and doing the best he can. But when it's time for creep eating, no one understands why, like Dan the rambling man. Well, he's talking about discomfort in California as he tries to introduce us to all the smoke. But he's taking 4 minutes to get to the point. Mike wants him to bring it on.
I thought that servicemen might be cautious around microphones and not want to say anything that would embarrass the country, and they would be very careful. How do you imagine that this went?
About like you
Lucy?
imagined it would go.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Hey, it's Mike, and I want to motivate you to make Miller Lite a part of your football watching experience. Here's the pitch. It's got only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. With a smooth taste and a crisp, clean finish, you get the taste that you crave without the calories. And, football fans, I can assure you, from personal experience, there is no other light beer, not on this wonderful planet of ours, that goes with football quite like Miller Lite. Make football time Miller time. No matter what team you're rooting for, there is one thing we can all agree on. Miller Lite and football bring us all together. So, I want you to take my advice and make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.